自己暗示が解けた場合、風見勇二はどうなる？
Hello everyone and welcome back to more of the Fruit of Grisaia. In the last episode we learned of an auto-suggestion seal, sort of, that's keeping us from brutally murdering people. JB here worries that the seal will eventually fade because we find out that we're no longer being protected. We want to protect Makina, so we're worried that that will override any suggestion, some subconscious suggestive power that has controlled us for so long. And this guy, he's the head honcho, one of the head honchos, is asking, well, if that fails, what will happen? What will happen to Yuji? We're about to find out.
自分の守るべき対象にとって有害であると認識したものを片っ端から排除していくことでしょう。日下部麻子が健在であれば、そんな風見雄二も道具としてコントロールも可能でしたが、今となっては。
道具とはどういう意味かね？
極めて殺傷能力の高い国防装置という意味です。ですが、今はそう。例えるなら、手榴弾のようなものです。
A grenade, interesting.
手榴弾には不用意な暴発を防ぐためにセーフティーピンが刺さっています。そのたった一本のチャチなピンがあるから腰にぶら下げて歩くことができるのです。そしてそのピンを引き抜き敵陣に投げ込むのが戦士。風見雄二のピンを抜けるのは戦士である日下部麻子だけだった。私たちは日下部麻子の道具である風見雄二をいじくり回しているうちにピンを抜いてしまいそうになっているのです。目的もなくピンを抜かれた手榴弾は誰であろうと区別なくその場にいる人間を全て巻き込んでひき肉にします。日下部麻子がいない今、ピンが抜けてしまえばおそらく彼は暴走するでしょう。殺しの手札に迷いがなく、他者を殺害することに遠慮もなく、殺したことへの呵責もない。そうなってしまえば、もう誰にも止められません。
なに、殺せば止まるさ。どんな人間でもね。壊れた部品を使い捨てにするようで心苦しい限りだが、彼には殉職してもらおう。それで構わないね。
Does JB have objections?
お任せします。
まったく面倒な狂犬を逃がしてくれたもんだ。私は中央に戻るが、何か思い出したことがあればいつでも連絡してくれたまえ。
はい。参った。何かあるたびに私のところへ来るの勘弁してくれないかしら。
なんかえらいことになってきましたね。
あなた仕事しているふりしながら盗み聞きしてたわね。
嫌だな、ちゃんと仕事してましたよ。先輩が提出した風見雄二の資料だいたい読み終えました。何やら凄まじい過去と経歴ですね。
We're a hell of a protagonist, what can we say?
そう？うちではそれほど珍しくもないでしょうに。その手の不幸を背負った犬なんてうちにはゴロゴロいるわよ。
本部の方ではどうするつもりなんでしょうね。
They're gonna kill us. I mean, is this really how the cards have been dealt?
さあ、でもまあ CSS や NSA の捜査員では限界があるでしょうし、今頃本部長は本社のお偉いさんと特殊作戦部隊を何単位派遣してもらえるのか交渉してるんじゃないかしら。
本国の精鋭が出向してくるとなると、さすがの902も店じまいですかね。
そうね。生きて戻ってくる確率はほぼゼロでしょうね。 けど、あの子は日下部麻子が育てた犬よ。一度牙を剥いた相手には、たとえ手足をもがれようと、はって飛びつき、喉笛に食らいつけ、首を落とされても、睨みつけて呪い殺せと訓練されてるわ。子犬の頃から年間6万ドルもの税金をかけて育てた犬よ。私たちは一番厄介な犬を敵に回しているという事実から目を背けてはいけないのよ。
でも
Even if you wipe out the enemies coming for you, they're never gonna stop coming, Yuji. I don't know why they don't narrate that. Whatever. We can kill and kill and kill until we're blue in the face. It's not gonna matter. They will never stop. They will hunt us to the ends of the earth, never stopping until we're dead. When I was a child, there were nights when my head ached so painfully I could not sleep. I don't know why. I think a doctor my mother took me to said something about stress being the cause. It began with something that felt like a slight fever. Soon my head would begin to throb painfully in time with the beating of my heart. I didn't think it was stress. I thought it was starving for something. For affection or love, something like that. Some frustrated longing was making it impossible demands on me. One evening I suffered an unusually severe headache on my way home from school and crouched down on the roadside in agony. I looked around the area, my vision hazy and periodically obscured by pure white flashes of pain, but couldn't find anyone who seemed likely to help me. But that was only to be expected. It was natural. Nobody's going to volunteer for the thankless hassle of looking after some sick kid they've never seen before. I thought as much myself, so I'm sure the people passing by felt the same. Dragging my heavy legs forward as if slogging through knee-deep mud, propping myself up against the wall, I crept my way home all by myself. When I finally reached my house after what felt like hours of miserable effort, my big sister met me at the door. The instant she saw my face, it felt like my sister spoke some concerned words, but apparently my ears weren't working properly. I couldn't understand what she was saying. When I thought about the painful, lonely struggle I just endured, her sympathy only grated on my nerves. I snarled bitterly that it was all a little late for her to help now. My big sister's face crumpled miserably. I knew I'd done something wrong. Something worth apologizing for, but I didn't have the composure to tell her I was sorry. Ignoring my sister as she tried to speak to me again, I moved past her and into our bedroom. I couldn't even muster the willpower to climb up to the top of the bed bunk where I slept. Instead, I opened the closet, collapsed inside it, then slid the door shut with the last of my strength. I liked the cramped places. I liked dark places. I felt most at ease holed up in places too small for others to enter. It felt like I was safe there, like I was cocooned in the cockpit of a powerful robot. There was nothing to be afraid of in there. The pain, so intense that it felt as though my skull was cracking apart, began to ease little by little. I wanted to stay there. I wished I could curl up in that closet forever and never have to leave. Even knowing that was spoiled, pointless escapism, I couldn't help but indulge it. When night came, my sister woke me up. She asked me if I'd calmed down, and I realized that I had. I felt almost refreshed, in fact. But at the same time, there was a tickle of awkward self-reproach. That's right, I need to apologize for snapping at her. Just as my thoughts reached that conclusion, I felt a sharp pain in my right hand. When I looked down, I noticed the wound on my right fist, deep enough to expose bone. I had no memory of injuring myself so badly. As I puzzled over it when it possibly could have happened, my sister spoke to me in a subdued murmur. It seems your homeroom teacher committed suicide. For a moment, I couldn't process the meaning of those words. Suicide. In other words, the man took his own life. Even as I wondered why, a smug sense of satisfaction welled up inside me. I hated that teacher with a passion. He never complimented me when I succeeded, sneering at the smallest sign of pride. He focused exclusively on my failures, belittling me as a defective human being. He hurt me every single day. The man seemed to have entered the teaching profession just so he could reenact the miseries of his own childhood on his pupils. I silently urged him to die many times. It felt like what he deserved. I looked down on my right fist, covered in congealed blood. Did I kill him? While I was unconscious with this headache, did my body crawl out of this closet all on its own? Did this hand kill my teacher? That anxiety stretched on indefinitely. When my head began its brutal aching, somebody would experience misfortune. The pattern repeated itself several times. My head hurts. I want something badly. But as always, I can't even tell what it is I'm longing for. That thirst for something never did go away. I want help. Anyone will do. If anyone would reach out a hand to me, I'd probably cling to them and cry like a child. At this rate, it feels like I'm going to go crazy. And I want to be alone. I want a cramped place where I can take refuge. I want to curl up in a dark place and sink into death as if falling asleep. It was always my sister who opened the closet door and brought me out of my seclusion. There were times when I wished she wouldn't, when I found her irritating. And my sister died in a traffic accident. I didn't hate my sister, or even dislike her, really. If anything, it'd be no exaggeration to say that she was the reason I was able to keep on living. Even so, my sister died. Why did she die and leave me alone? The question did inspire some reproachful feelings. But I still remember the look on her face that day when I answered her kindness with a snarl of irrational anger. In the end, I never did apologize. I could never manage to say the simple words, "I'm sorry for yelling at you." Couldn't do it. That always weighed on my mind. Always. When I think of my sister, her troubled expression on that afternoon always flashes before my eyes. I can't stand it anymore. I wish everything would just come to an end. But, maybe all this was my fault, I gnawed on my possessed right hand until it bled. And 1 year after that, just as I'd wished somewhere deep down inside, the devil in my right hand took everything from me. Everything. My father died, and my mother as well. I must have been the ones who killed them. All of them. I slaughtered them all. I'm the lowest of the low. I was a vile monster in the body of a child, and the person who took me in was an even more terrible creature. Taking the place of my father, who had died, leaving only debts behind, that man brought me to his mansion to live like a dog. Every day was pain. Nothing but pain. Bitter, excruciating pain beyond my capacity to endure. To escape that suffering, I would have gladly committed suicide. But I couldn't die. Not when they punched me until the bones in my face shattered. Not when they kicked me until my organs seemed to burst. Not even when they covered me in gasoline and set me on fire. I felt pain. I suffered. But no matter what they did to me, I never managed to die. The devil in my right hand must have forbidden it. I'd forfeited the right to live as a human being, but maybe that wasn't all. Maybe I'd lost even the right to die. What was so valuable about my existence, preserved at the cost of so much blood and suffering? Why was the devil keeping me alive? I didn't know. Forget the meaning of life. I couldn't understand the reason I wasn't dead. I reached my limit. The thirst grew so agonizing, I was beginning to wonder if it would ever stop swelling inside me. Since things have gone this far, I had no choice but to purge myself of the devil that was the source of my suffering and thirst. I began by smashing my right hand against the concrete wall of my basement room, but the pain was so strong I couldn't help easing off. I tried slicing it off with a knife instead, but whenever I tried to cut through the nerve, agony ran through my entire body. so it was difficult to keep pressing the blade down. All I managed was to cut myself deeply. The bones in my wrist were getting in the way, so I tried to scrape them down with the knife first, but the thick blood that sprouted out made the blade slip and slide around, so I couldn't grind away very well. And every time the blade did catch in the bone, the grating movement jarred my skull with sickening vibrations. In the end, I simply fainted from the pain. The adults in the mansion tied me up with ropes to prevent me from mutilating myself any further, and they whispered in my ear the same words repeated many, many times. Nobody needs you. Nobody wants you. Even your family despised and resented you. No one in the world loves you. No one in the world is on your side. Everyone is your enemy. Hate. Hate them. Hate them all. Anyone your eyes can see is your enemy. They made you suffer. They disgraced your family. They trampled your friends underfoot. That is the nature of your enemy. Kill. Kill them. Kill them all. You have my permission. Slaughter them like cattle. Hate everything. Kill everything. That is your only road to salvation. And so I killed. All of them. Everyone. I might have killed my sister. I murdered my own parents. But even after all that killing, I still haven't been saved. Why not? Haven't I killed enough by now? And, oh, that's right. I haven't killed myself yet. I'm not finished yet. I've got to take my own life. But how? I can't just murder myself. I don't know how it's done. Nobody ever taught me. What do I need to do before I can die? I spent 2 weeks without eating any food. My arms grew thin as the branches of a dead tree. My front teeth fell out. My fingernails grew soft and began to warp away from the skin underneath. When I reached up and touched my head, hair came out in clumps, but there was no pain. It seemed I was simply going to wither away to a mummy. I would sleep in my crypt, waiting for the day when someone would offer me blood. However many years it took, how many decades, however many centuries, until someone who can save me appears. Until my sister comes to wake me up. Yuji. Yes, that was my name. My sister always called me that. Until my sister calls me again, I can only wait. In a slumber so deep I'll forget even my own name. I wanted someone to pull me out of this hell as quickly as possible. But I had fallen into hell for a reason. I had done an evil thing. This was only natural. This was my punishment. When I came to, I was in an unfamiliar room. It wasn't my basement prison. There was a window. The pale bluish light of the moon flowed in, and the air felt a little cold against my skin. On nights like this, where the moon hung fat and swollen in the sky, my sister used to moan in an awful tone of voice from the bunk bed below my own. It was always like that on the nights when the moon was full. Suffering, sadness, desperation. Her voice spoke of many different emotions, too strong for words. It frightened me when my sister moaned. I would wrap myself up in my blanket on the upper bed, covering my ears tightly. But still the voice seems to pass through my skull and burrow directly into my brain. That overly bright moonlight falling in from outside the window must have driven me mad. I stood up from my bed, approached the window, and looked out. A single girl stood beneath a snowstorm of sakura petals dancing on the wind, her back turned to me. What was she doing out there this time of night? In the first place, who on earth was she? As those questions drove every other thought away from my mind, the girl turned around and smiled brightly. Our eyes met. Overwhelmed by the uncomfortable feeling that I'd been peeping on her somehow, I willed myself to pull back and hide, but for some strange reason I couldn't move my body even an inch. It was almost as though the force of her gaze had pinned my moonlight-cast shadow to the ground. As I stood stock still by the window, the girl softly raised her right hand toward me and began to speak. My ears were ringing. The girl's voice could not reach me. When I concentrated on the girl's mouth as she repeated herself, I read the softly spoken words from the movement of her lips. Over here, Yuji. She was calling for me, clearly and simply. And when I focused on her with complete concentration, her voice itself became clear as a bell, sinking deeply into my mind.
こっちにおいで。
The girl was definitely saying that. As she offered me her outstretched hand, tears began to roll down my face. Can I really take her hand? Is it really alright for the likes of me to take that hand? The instant our fingertips entwined, the devil in my right hand might kill this girl. My body began to tremble uncomfortably. I was afraid. This is a dream. I want to wake up right away. When I see dreams like these, my right hand always tries to kill someone. I can't take any more. I don't want to lose anyone else.
Papa?
Snapped abruptly back to the waking world by a familiar voice against my earlobe, I saw a girl crouched down by my side. That girl, her eyes full of concern, spoke to me.
Papa, また泣いているの?
Ah, hey Makina. No, I'm fine. It's nothing.
なんでもなくないよ。どうしていつも泣いているの?
No, really, it's no big deal. I just wake up crying sometimes. Sort of like a wet dream, you know. Don't worry about it.
どうしてそんな怖い顔をしているの? 私には話せないことなの?
Yeah, that's right. It's got nothing to do with you, so you don't have to worry about it.
そんなのずるいよ。私だけ助けてもらって、私じゃパパを助けてあげられないの?
Makina.
話すのが辛いなら何も聞かない。それに私あんまし頭良くないから、きっと話してもらっても上手に慰めてあげられない。だからね、前にね、アマネーが言ってたの。傷ついた男の人を慰めるのは女の裸が一番だって。
What, so you're doing this slut routine now?
ビッチでいいのよ。私はパパだけのビッチなのよさ。だからこっちにおいで、パパ。
Those words sent a jolt of surprise through my body. I've only just realized the voice of that girl in the dream, the voice that seemed to sink into the depths of my heart, was Makina's. The girl had waited all that time, all those years, her hand patiently outstretched, offering to lead me out of hell. I never would have thought she turned out to be a snuggy little airhead like this, but here we are. I find myself wrapping my arms around Makina, clinging to her like a child. Okay, well, they made love. Obviously, I cut that out. Yuji, came inside of her. And apparently Makina was not on the pill, so she may end up having a child? I don't know. So, yeah. Anyway. By the time the sun's risen cleanly above the horizon, my body's starting to wake up. Makina trots over to the corner and plugs our small fridge from the outlet, then connects the cord for her bread-making machine in its place. I was just lying in bed spacing out, but watching the girl grinding her plug into the outlet while yelling boom. I can't help break into laughter again. And deciding it's about time I get to work myself, I push my languid body up off the ground.
Hi! パパンがパンとね! はいよー、お待たせ! パンが焼けたのよ!
Nice, bring it here. What'd you make for us today?
カレー好きなパパのために今日はカレーパンなのよ。
Looks tasty.
ほんでパパはさっきから何をしているのよさ。
Knitting socks for our baby.
おー、靴下ってのはホームセンターで買った肥料から作るものなの?
That's right, it's a new synthetic fabric made from nitrous fertilizer.
嘘よね。
Yes, that's all right. Bring me those 2 plastic containers lying over there, will you?
いいけど何すんの?
I'm filling them up with a mixture of iron powder, vermiculite, and sawdust, then adding activated charcoal and saline solution.
どんな靴下になるの？
They're going to be damn good socks when they're done. The socks thing was a joke. In any case, let it see once I'm finished with these.
わかった。
The two of us don't have much in the way of cash on hand right now. Paying in advance for 10 days in this room didn't know. Wait, what did we do with all the money she gave us? Oh, never mind. We can't just start withdrawing cash or swiping credit cards, of course. There's no easier way to track a fugitive than through the movements of their money. Okay, that makes sense. I did have a little bit of a slush fund stashed away for a rainy day that the company doesn't know about, but I left that money with a third party connected to Osaka who's helped me out several times in the past. There's a chance that information might have leaked to Ichigaya through JB, so I can't just wander over carelessly and knock on the front door. With my company as an enemy, it's proving frustratingly difficult to get my hands on cash. To be brutally honest, we're a pair of children up against a large organization run by deadly serious adults. I doubt our playground tricks will keep them off our tail for long. No matter how hard we run, 1 week could probably be an optimistic estimate. If the cards fall wrong, we might end up being taken into custody today. In the cold light of day, I can't help feeling that it would have been wiser to cool down and talk things over with the JB at length, instead of thrashing around emotionally like this. But a straightforward negotiation strategy wasn't really an option. If the Irisu clan was feeling comfortable enough to indulgently hear out a child like me, they wouldn't have turned to an extreme measure like assassination in the first place. For the moment, I simply have no choice but to smack aside our pursuers one after the other. I've got a feeling today is going to be one hell of a long day.